and play havoc in a wider area. Now that is one type of ta'un. Hadhrat Masih has written also that God had told me, he said, God has told me that another type of plague will also appear. And that type of plague will appear more in the Christian countries and will originate from Christian countries. Now when I found out many years after my arrival in England that the doctors were referring to AIDS as a type of plague, then my mind was automatically carried to that declaration was Masih that God had told him that a new type of plague would appear, and particularly in the Christian areas. Now I further investigated, but the only problem was that according to the scientists who had worked on the introduction of this new type of plague, they also refer to it as plague everywhere, but a type of plague, exactly the words used by Masih, that this new type of plague started not in Europe but in Uganda. So I was a bit intrigued as to how Masih could be wrong. He said it will originate from Christian area. He didn't use the word Europe. He said from Christian area. And if he also used the word Europe, I'm not sure, but this particular place speaks of the origin of this new type to have taken root in a Christian area. So when I visited Uganda, I went to visit a small hospital which was built by the Ahmadiyya community in an area which is almost entirely Christian. And when I was going there, I was told that this area is called Slim. I said, what do you mean by Slim? He said, because this is where AIDS appeared for the first time. And that is where it has played such havoc that according to estimations, a large number of population will be wiped out within next decade. And very few people will be left alive because AIDS has already worked itself into the bloodstreams of the people living there. So then I was reassured, of course, that when Masih used the words in a Christian area, whether it was Africa or wherever it was, it did spring from an area which was Christian, predominantly Christian. And now the last part of the research which you have forced me to share with you now. That is my inquisitiveness regarding Rasulullah's prophecies. I thought if this is really designed by God, it's not possible that Rasulullah would be left uninformed. So some ulama helped me in finding that hadith, which exactly applies to the situation of the AIDS. And there Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has also used the word ta'un. Rasulullah once spoke of a people who become shameless. He said, when a people become shameless, so that they begin to display sex openly, then God punishes them with a sort of plague. And it appears with hard swellings in the neck. And then he described it somehow, I don't remember. But this was strangely applicable only to the modern way of life, where permissiveness is so widespread, it has become a plague in itself. That on television and videos and this and that, you can watch the worst type of naked display that one can imagine. You know, man has beaten beasts hollow in shamelessness, And this prophecy of Ahmad applies verbatim to this situation. Now, you study the history of mankind and its crimes and sins, never will you come across an age where publicly sex was displayed. Never. Never in the time of Rasulullah anywhere was done. Nor in the time of the Roman Empire or anywhere else. So when Rasulullah said this, it had to be a prophecy, because it had never happened before in the history of mankind. And there he also uses the word, God will punish them with a sort of plague. And this is exactly what the AIDS is referred to. So what I'm visualizing is this, and this is what I told the Jamaat in Uganda, that they should warn every people now that this disease, AIDS, according to my estimation, is going to remain dormant for a while. But it will continue to infect people without their noticing that something is happening. Apparently healthy people will come into contact and this virus will be transferred from the diseased one, the carriers, to the innocently not knowing person, not innocent but person unaware of what's happening to him. And when it already reaches a large number of people, then due to some climatic changes or something, some air pollution or something, suddenly it may become an epidemic. So I thought, working with the same principle of 100 years, that if I am right in my guess, then perhaps this AIDS virus will become active and virile and become epidemic in around 97 to 2000, some years beyond. Now, this could only be possible if the virus could stay in the body as dormant without being activated for a larger number of years. Now, my study of AIDS, because then I started investigating into the behavior of AIDS more closely, revealed to me that AIDS can stay dormant for 8 years. And suddenly after 7 years, 7.5 years, it may become activated. So which means that the time as I worked out exactly tallied with my guess that it would become activated around 2000 years, just before 2000 years. So these are the things we are talking about today, okay?
Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I would like to know, in the so-called third world countries.
Come a bit closer. And where are you from?
I'm from Ghana.
Again, huh?
Yeah.
Right. Masih?
Yeah, Shanti region.
Yes, the Shanti region, right.
The Ahmadiyya in the third world countries, especially in my country, Ghana, if we have meetings gathering together, we have a special attire, which is white and black. I would like to know if it is an international dressing for the Ahmadiyya, or is just specifically created by Ghanaians or third world countries.
You see, the dress you are referring to is like